We're live. Happy Saturday, everybody. I'm Monica. I always forget to introduce myself. This time I'm not. Anyways, this is my husband, John. And it's very special. We had our last episode, we covered a lot about your journey of sobriety and how we got here. Today is a little bit more close to the heart because in a few days you're going in to have open heart surgery done. So we're gonna kind of go into that journey today because and maybe we'll start off for people that maybe haven't seen the first episode, a little bit of a recap on how we got to this point here and part of your journey. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce John and share everybody kind of the journey of how we've gotten here so far and we'll talk more about what's happening here in a few days.
Well, sure. Thanks, Monica. Yeah, just a recap from our discussion the other day. We talked a lot about my journey with obesity and addiction, and what brought me basically to where I'm at today, and how I'm preparing myself for another speed bump in life. And it's nothing that I'm ashamed of. For a matter of fact, sharing it with everybody here on this call as part of my healing journey to not only hold myself accountable, but to get the word out that it's never too late to heal your body, and it's never too late to start good habits and changing behaviors and reclaiming your health. That's our mission. And it's my mission, and that's my Monica and I work together on this mission together as partners in life and in business. But just a recap, starting in childhood, I was raised in an alcoholic home, and I coped as a young boy with that environment by eating. I was heavy ever since I can remember. I was a chubby little, Cub Scout, and I was really kind of struggling as a young boy. And even in high school, I was diagnosed with a heart murmur in freshman football, going out for football.
Wow.
They listened to my heart and said, guess what? Something's not right here. So they sent me to a cardiologist. And at the age of 13, I became very familiar with a condition called hypertrophic subaortic stenosis. And that's kind of leading up to where we're going with this call today, and where I'm going Monday morning for open heart surgery. But even back then in high school, I was heavy. I was coping with a lot of bad behaviors. All the way to early adulthood, I managed my weight, but gained it again back when I got out of grad school and came to Denver, Colorado, and started a new career, moving out of a logging career back in Oregon to a high-tech career here in Colorado. And I started my career and have been very successful professionally all my life, but it came at a cost, and that cost was alcohol and alcohol addiction. And I didn't really recognize it per se, but I could see it creeping into my life and having adverse effects in my life. Not so much, I didn't go to jail for DUI, even though there were times I certainly deserved it. But it took its toll on relationships, on my second marriage, um, just, and on my health, totally on my health. And so that's kind of what brought me to today. And even back a year ago, when you and I, Monica, went to Costa Rica on a vacation, I came back in a wheelchair. We went there with the good intentions of having a much more healthy vacation. We ended up a lot of times, sipping cocktails on the beach and doing more partying than we should have. But I slipped and I fell and I smashed my femur. I shattered my right femur. This time last year, I was totally immobilized. I could not walk. I was very depressed getting home in January in a wheelchair. And I leaned back on my old coping mechanisms that I knew weren't didn't serve me well, but I ate and I drank, and by April of last year, I was in a pretty dark space personally, and I I really had to look at myself in the mirror and take a good hard look and stop the lying, stop the lying. Um, I just listened to a video uh, by a colleague of mine, a very well known author, Dr. Randall Hansen, and somebody that I have a great deal of respect for. Well, and he did this video yesterday about this very same thing, to look at yourself in the mirror and stop the lying and face your past traumas. And that's what I had to do back in April. That video really touched home with me yesterday, and I just stopped me in my tracks again. And so there I was in April, a totally different person than I am today, 10 months back. I made the decision to do something about my predicament and get myself on a healthy trajectory and stop drinking. And that was on the 10th of April, my parents' actually my parents' wedding anniversary. So, I look back and I look back at my dad, and I love my dad. But alcohol took a toll on him, and it took a toll on our family. And I wanted to just use that as it amplified the situation all the more for me to really take control.
Well, wow, that's it's a very vulnerable thing to talk about this, and I'm going to ask permission if I can pull up your picture here in a minute because on our
Well, I've
last
been sharing
podcast,
it. I've been sharing
I
it.
know on our last podcast we didn't really get into this part of the journey. We talked more about what led up to it. And just before we go any further, also, if you'd like to watch and or take a look at John's journey, he's been documenting now for how many months? It's almost been a year. So
Almost.
it's going
Well,
to be almost a year.
started at my first newsletter. I do a weekly publication called Straight Talk from the Edge on LinkedIn. And also, I publish that on my Facebook. I start to push it out to my Facebook wall personally just recently, and also in your Facebook groups as well, Monica. But
This is something I really recommend if you want to take the whole journey with him. Please go to LinkedIn and follow John because it's very inspiring. And but I really want to talk about this journey because we did go. You had to have surgery in Costa Rica, and then when you came home, it was a downward spiral. First of all, because of the depression, and you couldn't go anywhere, you couldn't walk, you were stuck living downstairs by your office. We have a bit of an unstable connection here,
yeah,
but
we do. You
I'm
were
gonna.
frozen for a minute.
I know I saw that. I saw the notification
So
came up,
thanks,
but he's
everybody. Stay with us.
yeah. So here you go. Here I want to share this here. This is John when we left Costa Rica in a wheelchair. He couldn't walk, and why don't you share everybody here more about this April picture? What made this big change for you?
Yeah, again, April 10th, 2025, right here in my office. That's me standing next to the bookcase over here. I woke up that morning, and I was so sad, and I just and this kind of anger at myself too. I've always beat myself up, and this is something a lot of oftentimes people do is they get, and like me, and this is nothing to be ashamed of, but fear, guilt, shame play a big role and play a big role in my entire life dealing with obesity and dealing with addiction. And you want to hide it. You don't want to, something that I was ashamed of. Okay. And so I just looked at myself in the mirror and I said, dude, this is just too sad and too bad. And you're on a road to an early death here. And I was just filled with sorrow, filled with inflammation, as you can see there. Um, my hands, wearing those compression gloves, I could barely even do this with my hands. They hurt so bad from from arthritis and inflammation. You can see it in my face, throughout my body there in that picture. And I came down here, and well, I came through the door from the room there, and I just thought I got to change. So I took that picture, like, I don't know, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I just thought, you need to take this picture and look at yourself hard, and this is your reminder of why you need to change. And I just said, no more, no more alcohol. I was lying to myself enough throughout my life about my alcohol addiction, saying, oh, I can handle it. Well, no, I was struggling with it. But yeah, that morning on April 10th, that was a big wake up call for me, and I just had to face it. And since then, it's been a good journey, but it's been a daily recommit for me. You don't do this without being accountable to, number one, yourself, and being honest with yourself. And that picture I took in April has been kind of that reminder for me to be honest with myself and think about how I was feeling that morning right here in this office. And it's been just a good journey, and sharing it with people like the audience here on this podcast, it only strengthens my resolve to continue this journey and get the word out and spread the word about metabolic health, about addiction, but most importantly about how paying attention and doing some very simple measures to reclaim your metabolic health will pay dividends. And I'm really confident that people can do this. And there's a lot of people listening, maybe, or will listen to this, they're in the same boat I was back in April. You know,
Oh my goodness, there's got to be. I mean, um, there's a lot of us out there that are suffering in quietness and don't know which direction to go. And you sharing this in a voice like this can give someone hope. And we all need hope that we can do better.
yes,
And when you started this journey, you actually also really got down and dirty into your metabolic health to really fix getting the weight off.
yes,
I mean, you quit alcohol. It's been 10 months now. So it's your 10 months in your sobriety trip here, which is phenomenal. And I'm very proud of you for that because it's our relationship too
it
that's
is.
been highly affected by this journey. But you did some things in your life that and that when you made this decision to get really serious about reducing meal frequency
Mhm.
and getting rid of that inflammation in your body. You used a couple of tools that we're not really going to get into today, but these are tools that are really remarkable that we are helping people with on this journey. So this has been a big, huge mindset change. And how much have you lost on since, April, since you made this decision, just in weight? I mean, we can look at your picture, but what does this mean in numbers? Tell us about that.
You're looking at 30 pounds right there. And it, like I say, it's not just the weight. I mean, the weight came off through some very simple changes I made in my lifestyle. Okay. And lifestyle medicine is real. It's our behaviors, what we do on a daily routine impact our metabolic health in ways that we just totally are unaware of until you really start getting in and taking a closer look. But it's very easy and fundamental things like you'd mentioned it. Um, uh, Intermittent fasting is something that I never did before, and it's been a game changer for me. Not eating all day. Okay, we snack all day. That's kind of what our modern way of life. We're bombarded with ads of snacks, and even some medical professionals were told that keep your metabolism going. Okay, keep it going by what? Eating, and that's bad information. Our bodies are not designed, especially a body that's been around for a few years, right? I'm not designed to be eating all day long.
And
And
snacking.
yeah, and snacking. And just the benefits of intermittent fasting and giving your body a chance to rejuvenate at the cellular level is amazing. It's amazing what happens to our body through a process called autophagy when our body is repairing itself while you're fasting. And we're not talking like huge, days of fasting. We're talking maybe a 16-hour fast, which includes while you're sleeping at night. It's as simple as that. And then just
Yeah, well,
incorporating some other tools that you'd mentioned as well.
yeah, what you incorporated was the reduced meal frequency, adding more fiber to your lifestyle, and also drinking a chlorogenic tea that helped with the fasting because people are sometimes scared of fasting because they think they're starving themselves, which we're not.
Exactly.
But this has all been a journey with this 30-pound weight loss that got you ready for something that we didn't know was going to be happening. That's happening on Monday. So, the physical shape that you've gotten into in this last, 10 months has prepared you for something that we didn't expect was going to be happening. So
Yes.
why don't you talk a little bit about what's happening here coming Monday and how you're prepared for that?
Yes, no, thank you, Monica. And it really, I didn't see this coming. When I started this journey back in April of 2025, I had no idea I'd be facing open heart surgery on February 23rd, 2026. Okay. However, the decision I made back then, wasn't even aware, but it was a huge decision because I wouldn't even be ready to be doing what I'm doing on Monday to repair my heart. Okay. I'm so grateful that I took that turn. And so throughout the last 10 months, again, I've getting myself metabolically in line, both, from a physical and a mental standpoint. But in the fall, you and I, we went elk hunting up in the high country of Colorado. I mean, we were hunting at 10,000 feet, and I was
That's right. And
feeling
then we
good.
climbed mountains to
Oh
up there to
yes,
go hunting
we did.
and then we had to pack the elk out. I mean,
Yeah,
this is like phenomenal. This is after, I have to say, this is after he had his femur smashed, okay, in January of 2025, came back and just was determined to get his health back in condition, which you done. But the big thing is you started getting out there and getting physical, walking and getting your strength back. And yes, we're able to go elk hunting in
mhm,
October. I mean,
yes,
that's remarkable. I mean, not even the doctor could believe that what the recovery you've come through. It's and now to prepare you for what's happening on Monday. Can you kind of go into a little bit about what is there actually? I know you talked about that you had this murmur and this situation already as a teenager,
yes.
but maybe just talk about what's happened here in this last little bit and what they're actually going to be doing to you because
Sure.
it's a big operation they're
It's
doing.
a big operation, open heart surgery. They will
Hmm.
stop my heart and replace my aortic valve. That's the procedure. Okay. Um, but yeah, it was back when I was talking to my cardiologist in the fall. He had in the last couple of years he had noticed he was becoming a little bit more concerned in my echocardiograms, and this last fall he noticed a big drop in the volume of blood going from my left ventricle through my aortic valve through my into my body, and it was like he could see it in the echocardiogram. And so they put me on a stress test, a treadmill, and I mean, they ramped me up. I was like sprinting on this treadmill, and then they'd throw me on the table and do this echo, and he was going, dude, he's going, it's called infraction rate, and that measures the volume of blood that's leaving your heart and going into your body, and through your aortic valve. And he said, what concerns me, number one, knowing what you just did in October, I'm still amazed you don't have like any lightheadedness or you're not feeling any symptoms, which was a good thing. But he said what I'm seeing is this greatly reduced infraction rate, and so that led to a catheterization earlier this month where they put a camera into my heart and looked at my condition inside. They lifted the hood, right?
Mhm.
And the good news is my arteries are clean. So it's not like I have clogged arteries. It's just that my aortic valve, which again, stenosis. This is what I started with back in the freshman in high school. Stenosis means stiffening. And so when the valve itself stiffens, it's not as supple, it's not allowing the blood to flow through at the normal, volume it should. It's stiff. Okay. And so yeah, the aortic valve replacement is definitely what I'll be going through. And I chose to go with a tissue valve rather than a mechanical valve, and my heart surgeon definitely agreed with that decision because a mechanical valve would mean I would be on blood thinners for the rest of my life. And blood thinners are nothing you want to deal with.
Mm-mm.
Um, and so I just thought, nope, I'm going to go with the tissue valve. My aortic valve is going to come from a pig. And it's, I'm nervous, I'm not going to lie. This is a big thing. I mean, they're going to cut open my chest and, clamp it open and get in there and do some serious work. And I'll be in surgery for 3 to 4 hours. I'll be in the intensive care unit for probably 3 days. And hopefully by this time next week, I'll be home.
No,
But
and we know you're going to be home by this time next week. And I wanted to say, you already had a condition in your life early on, but heart disease is actually the number one killer worldwide.
it is.
And and a lot of it is lifestyle related too. I mean,
Absolutely.
we can actually 9 out of the top 10 diseases are lifestyle related and can be looked after. And the thing is, when we're younger, we think we're going to live forever, and we abuse our bodies in many ways through maybe like you did with like
I did.
alcohol. There's so many things that we do that we don't think about, and it's like I always say, you're not sick until you're sick. And in most cases, you know, um, usually it's too late by then. You've gotten a second chance at this because you've looked after yourself. You've made a big change so that this is even being able possibly to have this surgery done and put yourself at a very low risk.
Yes.
Whereas if you would have been at this place a year ago, you'd be a high risk surgery where now you're a low risk surgery. It's always risky, but it's a low risk
Always
surgery.
risky, definitely. But no, I'm in really good shape. Through the lifestyle change and implementing some tools, uh, my triglycerides, LDL, HDL, cholesterol, my lipid panel is excellent.
Hmm.
Um, and my glucose level and insulin level, excellent. Uh, A1C could come down a little bit more, but I started back in April. I was pre-diabetic in that picture of me
Hmm.
back in April. Pre-diabetic, on the cusp of type 2 diabetes. All right. My brother had diabetes. My father had diabetes. Okay. My sister-in-law, you know, died young from complications from obesity, bariatric surgery, and drugs that were injected to help her lose weight. Okay. But I am so lucky that I was able to meet you, Monica, because your practice and what you do actually is what brought me out of the well. You, the practice gave me a ladder. Yes, I had to commit. I had to follow a protocol that is a proven protocol, and I proved it for myself, and it's changed my life around. So it's not something that is to be taken lightly. Your health and everybody's health on this call and their loved ones who might be struggling is on the line. And it's not just my story, it's so many stories like mine that are out there every day right now that can be changed into a better story, a better next chapter. That's how I'm looking. I'm turning the page, and I have a lot of living to do. And that's so important to me. But sharing this with people is healing for me too, because that's part of my healing journey, is to not only hold myself accountable, but to bring a message of hope and a message of, awareness and a knowledge. That's what we do with our social media posts, like on LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, etc., is to get the word out and increase knowledge and awareness on this.
Yeah, because there's hope for many people, and you should. That's why we're doing this podcast, so that maybe someone's watching this going, I need some hope. And we can't see if you are asking any questions or anything because we're streaming this on multiple platforms. But please feel free to reach out to us, and private message us or comment, and we'll answer all those. So John, what are you most grateful for at this moment, even knowing that we're going into this on Monday? What are you most grateful for at this time?
I really, I'm grateful for um, the opportunity to be doing this in a way that I feel very, very thankful, and I'm full of gratitude because I've had the opportunity to turn the corner for myself. But I'm grateful for just the opportunity to do this, and so grateful for the hope that it's given me personally and to us, Monica,
Mhm.
for our life going forward. Because I want to continue to do things that we love to do, the hike and get up in the
That's
mountains
why I have one
and get
question
on
to
our
ask you.
bicycles.
I know. We have to get back to doing all those things. That was my next question. What does this next chapter look like when you get out of the hospital, your recovery? And what does this next chapter look like at this new lease of life when you're going to get more oxygen going through your body? Your heart's going to be stronger. Let's
Yes.
talk about that for a minute.
No, that's, I'm glad you brought that up because one thing so as I was as I was going through my journey last year, I wanted to, lose that weight and get myself in a more metabolically healthy, place, right? And so I've always been active, and I wanted to get my strength back. I wanted to get back to some resistance training, which is so important. It's so,
Mhm.
especially as we age. You don't have to be a gym rat, but do some lifting, do some resistance training, and blend it into your habits and your lifestyle. So that's something that, this surgery now is kind of a speed bump because I'm going to have to go through a period where I can't do any strenuous lifting, but I'll be able to get out and start walking, and even, some light resistance training, light weights, picking up light things. But I definitely, my journey is going to be getting back into the gym. I've always loved to get in the gym and work out, and having that opportunity to do that and get myself back into building strength and endurance. So we can do the tour of the moon cycle ride down in the Colorado National Monument again. We can enjoy our hikes up in the high country. And my goal is to do a 14er by the time the snow flies this fall. So it's a lofty goal. Looking at open heart surgery in February and doing a 14er in Colorado by the end of the hiking season. But I'm putting it out there for myself.
That's a fabulous goal, and it's totally doable because the biggest part of a healing journey is having something to look forward to that's ahead of you. And that's
Absolutely.
definitely thing. And I was going to say something here in closing, not as a host here today, but as a wife. I have watched you like the quietly battle with so many things that most people don't see. I've watched you wrestle with fear, identity, alcohol, your health, and you chose growth instead of escape. And a lot of times we go the escape route, and like you talked about, with not coming to face with a battle you're facing, and you've addressed that head on.
Yeah.
10 months ago, you made a decision that has changed everything, not just for us, but I mean, for you, but for us. And the surgery is really going to be a beginning of proof of it when you come out on the other side. And I'm proud of the weight you've lost. I'm proud of the health improvements you've made. I'm proud of you saying we don't need alcohol because it is a vice in so many ways for a lot of us that have struggled with that. And you've really taken ownership of everything. You tell the truth, you share that with people, and I'm really proud of the process.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Um, it brings me a lot of joy to do this because I've I just I see even in our business that we do uh, where people very near and dear to me um, I've I've seen improvement in their health, and they come back and say, John, this is like, thank you for sharing with me. And there's nothing more gratifying than helping somebody reclaim their health and getting them on the right path. So the opportunity for me to do this with you and have these types of interactions with people that total strangers that we don't even know. There's people that we're talking to out there right now that we don't even know that might be listening to this, that might be on that cusp where I
Mm-hmm.
was back in April, you know, battling with alcohol, battling with fear, guilt, and shame, battling with the inner self, tug of war, okay, battling with food addiction. It is real. It is real, and my compassion is real for those who are going through that, and that's why, you know, I am so blessed and happy to now spend my days doing this, and it's what we do. It's what we do. I know, my years of high stress corporate, being a consultant in the tech world, took its toll. I mean, it was great, and I look back and it was a very rewarding career in its own way. But being able to do this is all the better for me and for us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a lot. I have so much fun doing this.
There's a lot of fun in helping people. Well, on Monday morning, they're going to wheel you into that operating room
Yeah.
and they're going to fix your heart. And just know that there's masses of people that are going to be thinking about you, praying for you, and you have a lot of support there, including from me. But when you come out on the other side of this, we're going to continue this journey
Yes, we
and
are.
share it here on these lives that we're doing so that you can come on this journey, but it also can give you an education. We have some amazing tools that we're going to teach you about that can get your metabolic health, that make it a little bit easier. Because like you've talked, the struggle is real. The addictions to food and alcohol and all those things are real addictions.
Totally.
And
Totally.
you're going
Yeah.
to walk out there, you rebuilding your mind, your spirit, your body, and you're going to take a lot of people with on the journey. So stronger heart, stronger mind, stronger spirit, all those good things.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, thank
So
you,
is it
Monica, and thanks everybody for spending part of your Saturday with us.
mhm.
Again, as Monica mentioned, more podcasts come, but not just on my story alone, but we do podcasts with a lot of people that share their stories and similar struggles, um, and focus primarily around metabolic health and your well-being. So we welcome you to join us when you can for these podcasts. Again, definitely join us online, social media, um, and let's connect.
Sounds great. Well, thank you very much and happy Saturday, everybody. I love you very much. Thank you for sharing this with everybody. It's an honor for me.
Me too.
Anyways,
Thank
okay,
you.
everybody, thank you so much for joining us today.
Bye, everyone.